Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to Bishop's 193rd Convocation Ceremony. This is an event to honor the accomplishments of all our graduating students. In just a few moments, our graduates will enter, followed by the academic procession. A professional photographer will take each graduate's photo as they are up on stage. Photos will be made available on the university's website in the coming week. In order to ensure everyone's safety, we ask that you remain in your seats during the ceremony. Finally, as a mark of respect for our graduates and to enable everyone in the gym to enjoy the ceremony, you are asked to silence your cell phones. I say that, maybe I should do mine. Bonjour et bienvenue à la 193e collation des grades de l'Université Bishops. Ceci est un événement pour célébrer les réalisations de tous nos finissants. Dans quelques minutes, nos diplômés vont entrer sous la procession universitaire. Un photographe professionnel prendra des photos de chaque diplômé. Les photos seront disponibles via le site Internet de l'Université Bishops dans les prochains jours. Pour assurer la sécurité de tous, nous vous demandons de rester à votre place pendant la cérémonie. Par courtoisie envers les diplômés et les autres invités, nous vous demandons de fermer vos cellulaires pendant la cérémonie. Merci et bonne célébration. Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Au nom de l'Université Bishops, bienvenue à vous, parents, familles, amis, futurs docteurs honoris causa, et surtout à la promotion 2021. L'Université Bishops est située sur le territoire traditionnel et non cédé du peuple Abénaki. The land of the Abenaki extended across most of what is today New England, southern Quebec, and a portion of the Maritimes. The Bishops campus is located at the confluence of the Massawippi and St. Francis rivers, significant waterways of the Abenaki people for centuries. We honor the Abenaki's rich history and cultural and pay our respects to them as the original stewards of the territory on which we gather. The word convocation, from the Latin convocar, means to call together, to summon. Today's convocation ceremony summons us to a moment of great shared significance. In it, we celebrate the joy of learning, the advancement of knowledge, the transformative bonds of friendship, the power of perseverance, and the deep satisfaction of achievement. I now invite Amy Rutherford to lead us in singing the national anthem. Please rise. La créativité artistique est au cœur de notre université. Elle représente un moyen important d'exprimer notre humanité. Before the Chancellor formally opens convocation, I invite the Convocation Choir, under the direction of Professor Fanny Gaudette, Director of the University Singers, to perform Nobel Laureate Bob Dylan's Forever Young. Andrew Rutherford, music major, who will be graduating tomorrow, take it away.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. May you stay forever young. Forever young, forever young, may you stay forever young. May you grow up to be righteous, may you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth and see the lights surrounding you. May you always be courageous, stand upright and be strong. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever May your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. May you have a strong foundation when the winds of changes shift. May your heart always be joyful. May your song always be sung. May you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. Well, may you stay forever young. Forever young. Forever young. Well, may you stay forever young.
Thank you to the University Choir. That was beautiful. Yeah, that's right. I don't think that you're going to be surprised to hear me say we've been waiting to see you for quite a while, and we are so thrilled that you are here. So welcome back, class of 2021. Yeah, really, really, really. And welcome to your families and to your friends. Bienvenue à tous. On est ravis de vous revoir ici, surtout en personne. Vous en avez ras-le-bol de Zoom. La 193e collation des grades à l'Université de Bishops. Pensez-y, 193 ans. Est-ce que c'est remarquable, ça? Oui, ah ouais, OK. It's a truly remarkable weekend. It's an all-purple weekend. In fact, making Bishops history. 4 convocation ceremonies, beginning with the class of 2020 earlier this morning, 2 chancellor's dinners, and 6 honorary degrees being conferred upon distinguished and deserving individuals such as Glenn Lowry and Christy Clark, whom you will meet shortly, all quite extraordinary. But in the final analysis, the main purpose of these activities is to honor you, the class of 2021, along with the classes of 2020 and 2022, and to celebrate here on campus together with your families and the Bishops community. L'important aujourd'hui est de vous honorer et de célébrer ici, sur le campus, avec vos familles, vos amis et toute la communauté Bishops. In the late spring of 2021, it became increasingly clear that an in-person graduation for your class would not happen. The pandemic robbed you of the time-honored tradition of an on-campus celebration for a job extremely well done. You, the distinguished class of 2021, became the second consecutive class at Bishops to participate in a virtual graduation ceremony in which 670 undergraduate degrees and 158 graduate degrees were conferred. At the completion of that virtual ceremony, I invited you to participate in an in-person convocation to take place 1 year later. The entire Bishops community, and I sincerely mean this, is extremely pleased about being able to carry through on that invitation. Principal Goldblum and the Bishops administration were adamant that if health conditions permitted, you be honored in person on campus amongst your family, the faculty, and your classmates in order that you might formally and properly close an exciting chapter of your lives. Exactly. So you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking, because what I wanted to say is I congratulate Bishops for this very special effort. And I thank all of the people at Bishops who had a hand in making this important weekend a reality. Merci à l'Université de Bishop d'avoir rendu possible cette fin de semaine de célébration exceptionnelle. But what is truly impressive is to see so many of you present here today. I'm sure that you're extremely happy to see your classmates and share these special moments with them. Also, visiting the campus may bring back memories of the community spirit that existed during your time here, and I'm sure, too, that you will enjoy seeing how Bishops has progressed. I even suspect that you chose to return to Bishops today for many of the same reasons that you chose to attend Bishops in the first place. If I'm right, it says a great deal about the positive impact of the Bishops' experience. In August 2020, at the virtual ceremony of the class of 2020, my wife Caroline and I felt that we had experienced a form of graduation that was somewhat vicarious. It was our 10th consecutive and final year as parents of a Bishop student. And in defense of our son Nicolas, a member of the class of 2020 who graduated this morning, it was not just one student for 10 years, just so you know. That's not the idea. It was really 4 students over a gap of 10 years, okay? Because I'd be in serious trouble with Nicolas. After a decade of humble experience as parents, in addition to the 2 years since my appointment as Chancellor of Bishops, a little weird, really. Why do you want to be the Chancellor of Bishops? Well, so I can meet the students. How many students have you met since you've been Chancellor? Wow, pandemic, right? So Caroline and I have felt privileged to be able to witness your resilience and your determination. We were impressed that notwithstanding all the massive uncertainty, you move forward with confidence, relying on many of the foundational skills acquired during your time here. Après avoir été impliqués avec Bishops pendant 12 ans comme parents et bénévoles, nous avons été témoins de votre sentiment d'appartenance envers cette belle université. The class of 2020 was hit hard with the pandemic at the very end of their time at Bishops, while you, the class of 2021, had to face a year of pandemic-induced ups and downs and continue to perform academically, whether in person or on a screen. You worked hand in hand with the faculty to ensure that technology was as helpful and as possible in the learning process. You were active problem solvers, entrepreneurial and creative, and an impressive solidarity amongst you was evident. And often, despite a campus that seemed abandoned, in reality, because of you, Bishops moved ahead on all fronts. Not only did you help each other, you assisted so many others in the community. The interest that you developed, whether inside or outside the classroom, or on your screens, the friendships you formed, some of which will last your entire lifetime, the sense of community that you both experienced and contributed to, when taken together, speak to the value of a strong liberal education. In June of 2021, you were prepared to take your steps forward. So moving to the present, and with your first year after Bishops already passed, and at a moment at which other vital issues such as climate change, income inequality, and the Ukraine are becoming more severe, it is apparent that the world in which we live desperately needs leaders. People ready and willing to take risks. And I would implore you to embrace risks. St. Thomas Aquinas said, if the highest aim of a captain were to preserve his ship, he would keep it in the port forever. That should not be your way. The world needs you more now than ever. Be it small gestures or big ideas, whatever your chosen field, your time at Bishops and your activities since then have truly prepared you to make significant contributions. Your experience since leaving Bishops has no doubt, in some cases, validated your career choices, and in other cases, helped you decide what not to do. My sincerest hope for you is that opportunities present themselves which your passions match your capabilities. You probably have concluded that all work all the time is not the answer, and balancing your social life and academic obligations at Bishops surely helped you with that. Do you agree? I thought so. It is to your credit that you want your work and your expertise to contribute in a meaningful way to causes that are both relevant and helpful. If early failures occur, I know that you understand that persistence and lesson learned can lead to future success at a later stage. And I suspect you've already come to realize that current uncertainties can also lead to interesting opportunities. As you will discover for yourself shortly in the graduation ceremony, I was one of the weaker students of Latin at a Jesuit high school a long time ago. But I do remember the powerful impact of two simple words: non sibi, loosely translated as, it's not about oneself. You can go forward and succeed and prosper, but your chances of having a full life will be greatly enhanced if you remember to make non sibi an important component of all that you undertake. On non sibi, Bishops has set a wonderful example in which you, the class of 2021, have set the bar very high. What an impressive contribution you have made, and we salute you. So in conclusion, congratulations and good luck to every one of you. Bravo to the great class of 2021. It's a real pleasure. It'll be a pleasure to watch your next steps. It has often been said that success occurs when challenges meet leadership. You are off to a good start. I'd like also to take just a second to congratulate the talented and dedicated Bishops faculty, who I'm sure at each convocation must look on with a strong sense of satisfaction and pride in watching the graduating class move on. How about that? Would you? Finally, last and very, very far from least, congratulations to the parents that are here today. You have so many reasons to be proud, but I must admit, even a few reasons to be relieved. And we thank you for all of your efforts. I now declare the convocation of Bishops University to be open, and I'm very happy to do so.
Mr. Chancellor, faculty members, graduates of 2021, and friends of the university. It is my great pleasure to introduce Ms. Christina Christy Clark. Christy Clark was the 35th Premier of British Columbia, Canada's third largest and most populous province from 2019, 2011 to 2017. She was the first female premier to be reconvened as head of government in Canadian history. She also served as Deputy Premier, Minister of Education, Minister of Children and Family Development, as well as Vice Chair of Treasury Board. Prior to that, she worked as a radio broadcaster and as a political staffer. Christy Clark became known as a fiscal conservative with a populist flourish, often compared to her legendary predecessor, Premier W.A.C. Bennett. Ms. Clark attended Simon Fraser University, as well as the University of Edinburgh in Scotland and Paris-Sorbonne University. Today, she's a senior advisor at the law firm Bennett Jones. She also sits as a board director for Shaw Communications and has been appointed as an associate member for the Interaction Council, an international organization where former world leaders come together to find solutions to the political, economic, and social problems of today's world. Ms. Clark is also chair of the board of directors of Roots of Empathy, an international organization that offers empathy-based programs for children. Its mission is to build caring, peaceful, and civil societies through the development of empathy in children and adults. Roots of Empathy strives to break the intergenerational cycle of violence and poor parenting. Christy Clark has received several awards, including the YWCA Woman of Distinction Award and the 2009 Woman of the Year in British Columbia by the Consumer's Choice Award. Mr. Chancellor, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of Civil Law, honoris causa, Ms. Christina Clark.
Domin spectatisme octactoritate mihi commissa, admitto te ad gradum doctorus in jure civili in nostra universitat honoris causa. By the power vested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Civil Laws honoris causa in our university. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's such a great honor to receive this recognition from this really prestigious university that's so well known all over the world for the work that the faculty and the administration do here. And when you walk around the campus, the thing that is most evident about Bishops is the community that people feel and the solidarity that you feel with one another. It really is like a family. And that's not true at so many universities around the world. I'm just really privileged to be here with you today, so thank you. And congratulations to all of you, by the way. Class of 2021, you had the weirdest, okay. Class of 2021. A group of people who had the weirdest time getting an education at college since probably the Second World War. You guys, you did it. You did it partly, largely online, and I know that you all had your video on the entire time. Am I right? It wasn't easy, but you did it. And you've earned a valuable degree from a highly regarded university. You have so much potential ahead of you to change the world around you, to change this country, if you choose to use it. And it is your time now to do great things, to cure diseases, to invent technology that will stop climate change, to write beautiful music that the world will hear and love, to create jobs and wealth through creating businesses across the country. Rich, honored, celebrated, and loved. I know that that is what all of the people who are here today want for you. And so do I. And more than that, I hope that each one of you, when you go out to make your dream happen, sees yourself as one part of a billion-piece puzzle that's part of making the world better. Because we're going to need you. And there's no surprise here. The world has a lot of big problems. And again, no surprise, our generation isn't really leaving you a world that is better than we found it. So poverty, starvation, lowest levels in human history. Yay, go boomers, that's fantastic. That's all you up there, well done. But climate change, growing income inequality, and war in regions around the world that many people have never visited are affecting people around the world at lightning speed. So as I thought about what I would say to you today, I decided that a really honest convocation speech for 2022 would really start with, hey, sorry, we tried hard, we did a bunch of good stuff, but really it's all on you now because we didn't get it all fixed. And now that I've said that, I want to tell you a story that I think at first may sound unrelated, but I think it's a really important one. And it's a story about a boy from Toronto. And I'm going to call this boy Henry. He came from a very, very tough neighborhood in Toronto, and most of the other kids in his elementary class were scared of him because Henry was well known as the grade 5 bully. A lot of us have been there with a grade 5 bully. And his class was participating in an elementary school program called Roots of Empathy, with which I'm now involved. And this program was founded by this woman from Newfoundland who's a total force of nature called Mary Gordon. And she observed that children are naturally empathetic, but that all the scars and all the hurts that they receive in their lives really smothers that impulse. And that our ability to open up our hearts and our minds to other people can be muted. And it can sometimes be silenced altogether. And so she created Roots of Empathy. It invites a mom and a dad to bring their infant into a classroom, always an elementary classroom. The children sit around a green carpet, and they watch that little infant develop over the course of a school year. So first, maybe the baby is gurgling a little bit, and then she's rolling around, and then she starts to crawl. Maybe, if she's an early developer, she starts to walk. And those kids all get really invested in that little baby. Even the kids who have really difficult lives. In fact, especially the kids who've had really difficult lives. And the teacher asked them 2 key questions. The first one is, when the baby cries, she or he says to the students, why do you think that baby's crying? And they'll come up with all kinds of answers, but usually, maybe the baby's scared, maybe the baby is sad. And then she asks the most important question of all. She says to them, can you remember a time when you felt sad or scared? And that's an important question, because those kids all bring up different answers to it, and they all relate to it. So one afternoon, when the visiting mom was ready to leave, Henry, the grade 5 bully, asked if he could hold her baby. And everyone watched as this pale, skinny boy from a tough Toronto neighborhood with his dirty mess of hair cradled that little vulnerable infant in his arms. And then when the mother asked him to give the baby back, he refused. And then the teacher asked him to give the baby back, and he still would not give the baby back. And then a few minutes later, after continuing to hold the baby, he looks up at the teacher and he says, how is it possible to love another person when you have never been loved yourself? This tough, damaged boy, maybe for the first time in his entire life, was feeling empathy, something for another person that he had never felt in his own life. But at this moment, he discovered what love felt like, not by getting it, but by receiving it. And he knew better than most of us, I hope, what sadness and fear felt like. But something happened when he realized that baby experienced the same things that he did, and he realized they were connected as human beings, and he was able to experience the gift of loving another human being. And for many people, like Henry, confronting that question, being asked to think about how someone else is feeling, helped him realize that he wasn't the only person who felt the way that he did. He didn't feel alone anymore. He understood that his classmates felt sadness and they felt frightened. And he understood that that baby did too. And knowing that helped Henry get underneath some of that scar tissue that had developed. We know from scientific work that all of this has a scientific explanation involving complex chemical reactions in the brain. But when you see that kind of transformation unfolding in real life, it is like seeing magic happen. And you know what the magic is? Your parents will tell you this: babies are magic. Am I right? Empathy is the act that, you know, they hesitated, eh? Maybe they don't have great, maybe some of you were bad babies. Empathy, the act of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, that's trying to understand them from their own perspective, instead of from their perspective, instead of from your own. And it's how even with the most difficult people, you can understand why they feel the way they do and why they're behaving the way that they do. So I want to tell you why this story is important right now in 2022. Because there was a time when problems were pretty local. In a neighborhood, a town, a country, but climate change, pandemics, war in Ukraine, all of those profoundly affect all of us. And these are global, not local problems anymore that we have to solve. And solving them takes collective action. And this is where we have stumbled. Our governments rarely act with purpose or with courage. And more importantly, our democratic institutions are polarized, and they are way, way too partisan. And some of you will invent technology to solve climate change. But to do it at scale, to make a difference in the world, you need government to make sure that it's working. But instead, it's not getting done. Politics is angry, it's polarized. The people who make up our legislatures and parliaments can barely stand to speak to each other anymore. And it's not just democracy that's failing, although it is in countries around the world. I believe it's civil society that's disappearing. And so the question is, if you want to solve it, why? Because our politicians reflect us. We live in social media bubbles. We can avoid speaking to anyone with whom we disagree. We no longer have a common narrative. Truth has become something subjective rather than something real. And a divided society where there is no objective truth elects politicians who are divided, who can't agree on the most basic truths. And look what's happening just to the south of us. Not a day has passed in this year that there hasn't been a mass shooting in the United States. 19 elementary school students, most recently in Texas. Most people in the United States want change, but they won't fix it. They can't fix it because they don't want to talk to each other. And a strong, functioning democracy, one that elects people who can sit down and make things happen and come to agreements about things, is chosen by people who can also talk to one another. People who can find common ground even though they have profound differences between one another. But too often, we decide if we don't like what somebody believes, we don't like who they are. And I'm not talking about hate speech here, because I don't believe that that deserves any protection. I am talking about listening and working to understand people who hold beliefs that are different from ours, maybe even the opposite. Understand what makes them angry or anxious or hopeful. Recognize that life experiences have shaped them too, for the good or for the bad. Just like Henry, no one is the sum total of their beliefs. And every day, you are creating the world that you will live in. You will play a direct and consequential role in determining whether our world is one in which we can come together and solve problems, or whether we decide that it's just always someone else that is the problem. And if there is I'll give you the only good piece of advice I have about having been in politics, and that is, welcome the people around, make sure that the people around you, half of them are people with whom you don't always agree. Make sure that the goal that you have is something on which you are willing to compromise. and always, always, always keep your ears open to listen to what people have to say. And some of you will become politicians. Enzo, where are you? But all of you are going to become leaders. In classrooms, in hockey clubs, in union halls, in C-suites, in offices, in community groups. Use your power to make sure the world is a different one that you leave for your kids than we've left for you. I wish every single one of you the best life possible, that you will be rich, celebrated, honored, and loved, but mostly loved. Thank you very, very much. It's an honor to be with you.
Mr. Chancellor, faculty members, graduates of 2021, and friends of the university. Imagine for a moment having your name on a flying banner trailing languidly in the hazy sky. Such has been the case for Glenn Laurie, director of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. The flag bore an appealing message that read, "Glenn Laurie, remember me." The banner in question was the brainchild of Canadian conceptual artist Bill Burns, and it was flown above South Beach during the Miami Art Basel Fair in 2013. Bill Burns' performative gesture was a thoughtful commentary on the evolving economic conditions of an international art scene driven by powerful directors and curators. His move to inscribe Glenn Laurie into a pantheon of influential art professionals is in fact quite savvy, as it highlights Mr. Laurie's remarkable contribution to the international art scene since taking the helm of the MoMA in 1995. Glenn Laurie is an art historian specialized in Islamic art, with degrees from Williams College and Harvard University, and the recipient of honorary degrees from the College of William and Mary and the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. He operates what is considered to be one of the largest museums of modern art in the world, all the while sharing his time between New York City and a home on the shores of Lake Memphremagog in the Eastern Townships. In 2004, he was granted the title of Officier de l'Ordre des Arts et des Lettres by the French government. Some of his major initiatives for the MoMA include the creation of a new curatorial department for media and performance art, a research program known as CMAP, or Contemporary and Modern Art Perspectives in a Global Age Initiative, the merger of the MoMA and PS1 Contemporary Art Center, today known as MoMA PS1, and multiple expansion projects aimed at creating a more welcoming and participatory venue. A strong advocate of contemporary art, Mr. Laurie has also significantly developed the museum's collections, which in turn have become critical tools to chart the history of modern and contemporary art, to complexify dominant narratives through innovative displays, and most of all, to plot the future of art. Through these actions, Mr. Laurie pursues the legacy of MoMA's first director, Alfred Barr, by envisioning the museum as an experimental laboratory. He thinks of the museum as a work of progress open to change and critique. Now, more often than not, an institution of such a scale is bound to get weighted down by its own conventions. Perhaps Mr. Laurie's greatest achievement is to have prevented the MoMA's calcification by constantly leaning into the moment and embracing challenges. An example of this self-practiced institutional openness can be sensed in the MoMA's response to current identity politics. Mr. Laurie has had the finesse to endorse diverse discourses on art, not by appropriating them, but rather through thoughtful collaborations with such institutions as the Studio Museum in Haarlem, considered the world's leading institution devoted to visual art by artists of African descent. One of their many partnerships consists of a joint fellowship aimed at mentoring and diversifying the next generation of art professionals. While Mr. Lowry's influential scope is such that contemporary artists appeal to him by flying banners, he makes use of this discursive power by sharing it instead of centralizing it, and by distributing agency across art communities. This shows the meaningful ways through which Mr. Lowry uses the leverage afforded by his position to dedicate himself fully to public service. Mr. Chancellor, I present to you for the degree of Doctor of Civil Law, honoris causa, Mr. Glenn Lowry.
Domin spectatissimum, auctoritate mihi commissar, admitto te ad gradum doctorus in iure civili, in nostra universitate honoris causa. By the power vested in me, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Civil Laws honoris causa in our university. Congratulations.
First of all, Mr. Chancellor, your Latin's not so bad. Second, remind me never to speak after Christy Clark. Good afternoon and congratulations to this incredible class of 2021. I know today has been a long time coming, but if last night's dinner was any indication, you are more than ready to celebrate and party. Je suis profondément honoré d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui pour partager ce dernier moment de votre expérience universitaire. And I'm particularly honored to be here with Christy Clark, the great former Premier of British Columbia, and on a very personal note, to know that Louis Garneau, à qui je pense chaque fois que je fais du vélo sur les belles routes autour de Sherbrooke et Magog, also received an honorary degree earlier today. You're going to hear many of the same themes from me as you heard from the Chancellor and from Christy Clark, but they're important themes. When I was invited to receive an honorary degree in 2020, I immediately agreed to do so for two reasons. The first is that while I'm not Canadian, the Eastern Townships is the only place I call home. It has been an essential part of my life for more than 50 years. This beautiful campus, this community that you share, this extraordinary place is as bound into the way I feel about my life as it is bound into the way you as a class no doubt feel. But the second and more important reason is that I have long admired Michael Goldbloom, your principal, and I've watched him make Bishops into an immeasurably better place over the years. As the director of a large cultural institution, I know how hard, nay, almost impossible, this is to do. So this is my third attempt at this speech. The first, begun in 2020, actually before the pandemic hit, I like to work on things early, was full of humor and encouraging words. The second, a year later, was all about pain and anxiety. I know none of you felt that last year. V3 tries to bring both of these threads together. Now, no one could have predicted in 2020 that we would see the world ravaged by a virus that has left several million people dead, closed borders around the world, compelled many countries to impose lockdowns and shelter-in-place orders that continue to this day in some places. Nor would it have been possible to predict that the murder of George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, by a Minneapolis police officer, would have ignited protest movements across the United States, Canada, much of Europe, and elsewhere in the world. Or that the bodies of 215 missing Indigenous children would be discovered buried on the grounds of the Kamloops Indian Residential School, bringing to light an unspeakable truth. Nor could anyone have predicted the Russian invasion of Ukraine that has already displaced over 5 million people, targeted civilians in their homes, and destroyed large parts of a great country. Or the many murders that take place as gunmen ravage our schools in the United States, attack hospitals, and do other unspeakable crimes. But what is certain is that the world as we know it has changed profoundly in these last 2 years. Public life and public death, in the words of noted cultural theorist Homi Bhabha, have become inextricably linked. To be in public space, whether an office or a commons, a museum or a street, is to risk death by illness or by murder, especially if you are black or brown. We can no longer pretend, if we ever could, that we all share the same freedoms and access to wealth, privilege, and opportunity. As COVID-19's brutal statistics make clear, the most disadvantaged of us, those who live in poverty or happen to be indigenous or of African descent or aged, for instance, have suffered more than others. Yet these have often been the very people who were compelled to work, while many of us were able to stay at home or shelter with friends or relatives. These are dark words on a day of celebration. So let me try to shine some light on them and suggest why you should be excited about the opportunities before you. And I really mean this. Seismic disruption often leads to seismic change. In my field, the art world, we are learning to see how systemic prejudices often occluded our ability to recognize artists of color or the talents of staff with backgrounds and educations different from others. And this has led to a much richer and more complex program at many of our institutions, one that is expansive and generous in its approach and that valorizes difference. L'art peut être transformateur, et il peut nous permettre de voir et de penser de manière nouvelle et inattendue. Art can be transformative, and it can enable us to see and think in new and unexpected ways. In the words of the great Ivoirian artist, Frédéric Boulay-Bouabré, l'art est un savoir-faire. L'art est une recherche, une quête, une découverte de l'innocence sublime. Every so often, we have the chance to change the course of history, to stare the past in the face, and to imagine a better future by searching for that sublime innocence Bouabré talks about. The strictures of society, the lull of the status quo, the nature of most of us to want to simply get on with our lives makes it a rare moment when we can do something dramatic, when we can confront intractable issues and demand new ideas and new approaches. And this is one of those moments. The old order has been shaken to the core. Activists, and I hope all of you are activists, on all fronts are demanding that we address gender, racial, and income inequality, corporate and institutional governance, the rights of the indigenous, as well as the rights of the oppressed and minorities wherever they may be. And with your knowledge, your idealism, you have the ability to tackle these problems and make the world a better place for all of us. If there is one thing we have learned in the last 2 years, it is the need to be resilient, flexible, and above all, empathetic. And that is the empathy that Christy Clark was talking about. Resilient, because life will throw any number of obstacles in our way, but they can be overcome if we put our minds to it. No vaccine had ever been developed in under 6 years before the teams at Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech reinvented how to do this by using the new technique of messenger RNA to teach our immune cells how to fight the virus And now, the vast majority of Canadians have been vaccinated in record time. Flexible, because we have all learned in the last 2 years that almost nothing, I'll say nothing, works out as expected, to wit, your graduation today as opposed to last year. Who could have predicted that offices and schools would shut, yet work would continue for many via Zoom and other platforms, and that in learning to work remotely, the workplace itself has been irrevocably changed for the better. And empathetic, because at times of extreme stress, we must never forget the ability to feel for others, to recognize someone else's pain, joy, or anxiety is to create the bond that makes us human. Je dis cela à un moment où beaucoup exigent que les valeurs et les actions s'alignent parfaitement, où intolérance croissante à gauche et à droite laisse peu de place à la conversation et où presque personne n'est prêt à faire des compromis. Comment pouvons-nous être résilients, flexibles et empathiques dans ces circonstances? How can we remain flexible and resilient and empathetic when we live in such a polarized world? The answer, and it is the answer of our time, I think, is that we must always remember to be open, generous, and attentive. We need to engage with the core issues of our time and insist that our communities accept and celebrate diversity and difference. We need to remember that privilege, no matter where and how it exists, comes with the responsibility to listen and to learn, and to support those who are disadvantaged. We can create a more racially and culturally just and equitable future if we work at it day by day. If we recognize that we each have a responsibility to deal with the complex social, cultural, and political problems that shape our world. You must refuse to be bystanders and insist on being actors. You have the skills, the knowledge, and intelligence to do this. Lean into the challenges of our era, like climate change and sustainability, racial and social justice, economic inequality, and Indigenous rights. As you leave the privileged space of bishops, the companionship of your friends, the warmth of the community here, and the beauty of the Eastern Townships, think about how fortunate you have been despite the difficulties of these last 2 years. Use that remarkable education you have been given here to make a little bit of change for the good every day, and you'll be surprised at how much you can change over time. And so, on this important day, delayed by a year, I salute and congratulate all of you. Thank you very much.
So the next part of the program usually involves conferring the degrees up here on the stage with the Chancellor and the Principal. That's already happened for you virtually in the summer of 2021. Due to that, what's that word, COVID? Thankfully, we're able to gather today in person, and we're here to celebrate you, the graduates of the class of 2021. Congratulations. So here's how it's going to happen. I will be calling by degree, inviting you to stand up. Our ushers will bring you up to the stage. You'll be then presented by your respective dean. Then either the registrar, the Dean of Student Affairs, or the Indigenous Student Support Advisor will hood you. You'll then cross the stage and be congratulated by the Chancellor and Principal Goldblum. There will be a photo taken. It will then be available on MyBU for you. So that's how it's going to happen. It'll be an exciting time, and you'll be able to congratulate everyone. Before we move on to that stage, I'm going to invite our Indigenous Student Support Advisor, Vicky Boldo, to address convocation as we mark this very important moment for you. So, Vicky.
It's warm up here. I'm just going to wet the whistle, as they say. So mio kisiga kagia kiwa. Kisi watu nyotin esquayun sigason. Kwetin otinia maga St. Catherine de Hatley Niwikin. So I was just saying greetings for the day. My name is Vicky Baldo. I'm the Special Advisor, Indigenous Student Support. I joined the Bishops community in last August. So some of you I've had an opportunity to meet and others not. And I'm an adoptee from the 60s, from the 60s Scoop era. So I didn't grow up connected so much to community and to language, but I'm working at reclaiming that. And being here today really is such an honor. I humbly stand before you in awe of your accomplishments. As a mother, a grandmother, and I'm now a great-grandmother, we say in Korea, Japan. I became a great-grandmother last month. And so, thank you. So I can appreciate and understand some of the emotion that you're all experiencing this weekend, for the family members that are here, for yourselves as the graduates, and even for us up here on the stage. So we finally gather in person, and I guess for all of you here, this is the 193rd convocation. Can you imagine 193 years? That's a lot of history. And so I'm hoping as we gather in person at this convocation ceremonies that we're a little bit stronger, we're a little bit wiser, and hopefully a little more appreciative of the simple things in life. Because one of the things we heard so often over the last, I guess, 27 months or so was in these unprecedented times. Didn't we hear that often, that phrase? And so you as students were confronted, without doubt, with some of the biggest challenges of your lifetime. My hope is that you have learned much about yourselves, that you embrace the whole of who you are. And for me, that's the body, the mind, the emotion, and the spirit. Oop, my page just got mixed up. So I often, when I'm with the youth and when I'm with other students, I often share the message, and this is something that I know to be true because of my personal journey as that adoptee, walking the path and really searching for myself and getting to know myself. And so I often say the better that we know ourselves, the better we understand ourselves. And the better we understand ourselves, the better we know ourselves. And so in Indigenous circles, often the first question that we hear when we meet someone is, where are you from? And from that, we proceed, just as I did a little bit with you, but you know, I'm the daughter of Bernice and Gary, and Bernice and my grandmother are from Treaty 6 territory, from Pahonan in Saskatchewan, and on my biological father's side, the Coast Salish side is tied to Lopez Island, and on the west coast. And I grew up in the Cowichan, and then I came out here to Quebec, and I was really embraced by the Ganyang-Gahaga community and by the Iwis-Chi, the Cree communities in James Bay, all of these kinship relationships that have happened. And as I've done those travels and made those connections, I've come to better understand myself because I had ancestors who left from these lands and migrated west. So I share that because when we proceed to share of who we are, where we're from, and all of those things, in doing so, we're also paying honor. And we're paying honor to those who came before us. We're paying honor to the ancestors. So today, I invite you as you walk across the stage to be acknowledged, that you walk with your head high and know that your ancestors, those that overcame all that they had to overcome, that they're so very proud of you today. We pay honor to those of present day, those that walk this earth walk with you, that accompany you, that encourage you, that share the lived experience in this physical world. And so for those, there again, I invite you to walk with your head high. It's for your families, your professors, your peers, the Bishop's community, and all of the those that you're interacting with now in whatever you're doing. For they too are so very proud. And then lastly, paying honor for those to come. To the generations that lie ahead, to your nieces, your nephews, your cousins, your children, your grandchildren. Many of you have already shown your leadership skills, and this will continue as you venture forth. So I ask you, walk with pride, integrity, stay true to your values. Remember that your decisions and your actions will impact the world for these future generations. That first time I held my very first grandson 10 years ago in my arms, and I realized in that moment, something just, this flash went off of, oh, I'm here because technically I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here because my grandmother and my mother, my great-grandmother made it through. And so I have an immense responsibility to pass things on. So today, I too am proud to be a part of the change. Proud of the Bishop's administration for acknowledging and supporting our Indigenous student graduates in a unique way. The First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students today will receive ceremonial scarves to mark the completion of their degrees. This is a gesture that has been taking place in many post-secondary institutions across Turtle Island for some time now. And now Bishops too, we will carry on this practice in alignment with a commitment to what I call reconciliation, taking action, right? Aligning the words, walking the walk, talking the talk. Because lest we not forget that up until the 1960s in Canada, in accordance with the Indian Act legislation, we weren't permitted in these spaces, in these institutions. And this past year, we had one of the faculty members invited a Ganyang-Gahaga educator and somebody I consider as a knowledge keeper. They came in from Kahnawake to speak in a class, and then they came over to the center to visit with the students. And as they sat there and they started sharing with us about their academic journey, and they were actually a graduate from Bishops all the way back in 1978. And they went on to become one of the founders of the Kahnawake Survival School. And so his whole trajectory has been commitment to improving education and quality for Indigenous students. So today, the symbol on the stoles was also I had it co-created it with one of our current students, Deodorati Cross, who is in art education. And as opposed to kind of just trying to find those symbols that would capture the different nations. We really had a conversation around what is it for a student, an Indigenous student here at Bishop's, and their relationship to the land, to campus. And so he came up with the circle representing the people and the mighty pine trees that are all across campus, and then the islands and the water out in the rivers where they converge. And the deer, of course, are always around and reminding us just of the gentleness, right? And then the weaving here, which often is representative of the designs in the pottery. Each family had their designs, so in the longhouse, people would know what belonged to who. So I share that with you because we're making history, and you're a part of it. And so congratulations again to you, your family, your families, and your peers. My hope for you is that you continue on your journey with a childlike curiosity. Remember that 6-year-old, because it's one of the first questions I ask students is, when you were 6 years old, what was the dream? You know, we've heard the themes of children are sacred gifts in our stories. And so think of that childlike curiosity, your 6-year-old, and honor that. Contemplate every opportunity and embrace all the lessons in life. I promise you, there are no mistakes and there are no failures. These are often the experiences that will give you the greatest growth of all. So I'm just saying thank you to all of you, and thank you to all my relations.
I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who earned the degree of Bachelor of Arts to please stand. Mr. Chancellor and all members of the university, I'll try that again. Mr. Chancellor and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of the convocation, I present to you these graduates who have received the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Bachelor of Arts in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Nathan Allard. Chloe Comtois. Hugh Godman with distinction. Jack Gurka. Shane McDonald with distinction, the University Prize in Sports Studies. Annika Veilleux-Malone with distinction, the Charles Kingsman Memorial Prize in Business Administration, the University Prize in Liberal Arts.
Alistair James Aiken with distinction. Emily Blair Boone with distinction. Tamika Briggs. Harriet Cowell. Marta Ismaine Dupont with distinction. Kaylee Grobecker. Bernadette Grace Labé. Gianni Morone. Giselle Murphy with distinction. Taylor Sheldrick with distinction. Madison Van Beerschoten with distinction. William L. Shurtleff Prize for Academic Achievement. Alicia Ann Winter with distinction.
Amelia Abran with distinction. Locke Alexander Storm Bailey with distinction, the Ambassador of Switzerland Prize in French. Claire Bomey with distinction, the F.E. Meredith Memorial Prize in English. Frances Cameron with distinction. Maria Clavelli Granha with distinction, Glenn Wickens Prize in Film Studies, Golden Mitre Award. Sandrine Crespe-Lacroix with distinction, the University Prize in Arts Administration. Sally Jane Louise Cunningham with distinction, the Archdeacon F.G. Scott Prize in English. Lara Dion, the Wanda Rosenska Prize in Fine Arts. Francine Atier with distinction, the Wanda Rosenska Prize in Fine Arts. Camille Ferlotte with distinction, the University Prize in Modern Languages. Ocean Francoeur Pierre with distinction, the Lieutenant Roddy Lemieux Prize in French and the Mackey Prize in English. Casey Hebert with distinction, the University Prize in English. Africa Hurtado Vasquez with distinction. Olivier Jeudi. Nicholas Kaiser Rice, with distinction, the University Prize in Music. Cameron Kirky. Émilie Labbé. Brooklyn Trudy Catherine Leahy. Stephen Levac, with distinction. Hallie McEwen, with distinction. Meriev Mali, with distinction. Sabrina Perrault, with distinction, the Mackey Prize in Classical Studies and the University Prize in Classical Studies. Lily Madeline Rousseau. Carly Megan Tuck, the University Prize in Religion. Samuel Emerson McCulloch Utrosa. Ophelia Welsh. Jennifer Allen, with distinction, the University Prize in Fine Arts. Lise Belmer. Ann Butler. Eva Perron-Gagnon, with distinction. Shakiba Rahimi Yanjo. Rafaela da Silva Domingue. Leah Driver. Zoe Gilio, with distinction. Jessica Hawkins. Philippe Lapointe Lassonde. Shannon Lowe. Chip McCullough. Shane McDonald Bryan. Bridie McDonough. Cedric William Werner Moore. Yen Yen.
Anthony Sanogo with distinction. Raphaël Chabot Assayag with distinction. Congratulations. Simon Martin Trudeau. Viviane Court Rathwell with distinction. Corinne Dory with distinction. Amelia Krallis with distinction, Professor T.W.L. McDermott Memorial Prize in Political Studies, the Golden Miter Award, and the Joan and Alex Patterson Award. Danica Lambert with distinction. Maya Lugar with distinction, the Gerald Theodore Rayner Prize in Political Studies. Vivienne Maffei with distinction. Trinity Mastin with distinction, Dr. Shannon Gadbois Prize for Excellence in Psychological Research. Pierre-Olivier Paradis with distinction, the Dr. Shannon Gadbois Prize for Excellence in Psychological Research. Rochelle Lee Perras with distinction. Melanie Piggott Nardoza with distinction. Melena Poulain with distinction, the University Prize in Sociology. Isabelle Anne Ricard with distinction. Pascal Pousseau, with distinction. Almoatassim Al-Gahami. Marie-Pierre Allaire-Caron. Chloé Anestis. Dylan Ball. Mirza Saad Beg. Finley Berry. Marianne Berger, with distinction. Marshall Billingsley LeBlanc. Yeah, this is my last one. Connor Blanchet.
Wilton Burgos. Jacob Carrier. Sophie Chagnon. Colette Chartier. Shauna Chatterton Jerome. Sarah Connor. Julian Quentin Martin. Zachary Sear, with distinction. Astrid Delpoul, with distinction. Marc Desjardins. Frédéric Desnoyers. Samuel Ducharme. Stephanie Edwards. Emmanuel Elie. Malcolm Fava. Maximine Fay. Eric Charles Gendron with distinction. Hugo Givens. Michael Harris. Mattie Ruth Haynes. Justin Jarmock. Nicolas Jobin. Gabrielle Labbé with distinction. Ulrich Ladouceur with distinction. Jessica Langlois. Thomas Lopez. Amanda Lloyd. Keegan McKay. Rebecca Maduro with distinction. Elizabeth McBain with distinction. Nathan Mageke. William Millar. Erica Morrow with distinction. Ryan Mulhern. Natalie Mary Lynn Nicole. Matteo Nobile. Timothy Patrick Nolan. Doris Nosi. Claire Piana. Graham Poole. Sriram Raman. Valerie Reed. Lucia Amanda Santilli. Kelsey Michaela Robson with distinction.
Don't forget to say that really loudly, okay?
Gabrielle Savard Bergeron with distinction.
Come on!
Ryan Simmons. Ryan Smith. Jordan Thornhill. Charlotte Tim. Reese Tomko. Brooklyn Christina Sawatsky. Ryan Seiler. Kother Sidum. Annabelle Vieux with distinction. Catherine Martell. Hannah Wallace. Samantha White Couture. Rosalie Provencher. Samia Huna with distinction.
So I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who've earned the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration to please stand. Mr. Chancellor, and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you these graduates who have received the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Bachelor of Business Administration in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Marceau Bertin. Anne-Constance Blanchette. With distinction. Alexandre Boutlabé with distinction. Bastien Boutlabé with distinction. Elisabelle Cossette Plamondon with distinction. University Prize in Business, Marketing, and Entrepreneurship. Émile Babin with distinction. Shai Bouskila. Jean-François Cardinal with distinction. Brian Chilvers. Noémie Soleil Cormier. Ivy Juliana Denham. Jessica Dodig, with distinction. Sophie Maud de Medeiros Dubé. Bernard Duchesne, with distinction. Justine Durocher. Alisa Fee, with distinction. Sean Giddings. Louis-Dimitri Goupil. Adam Grant. Daniel Harrington. Sabrina Bintacone. Carrie Emmanuel Wilfrid Kwaku. Melina Kralis, with distinction, University Prize in Business Accounting. Beatrice Landry, with distinction. Isabelle Lefebvre, with distinction. Vanessa Kaylin Leonard. Sandrine Leroux Boucher, with distinction, University Prize in Business. Juliette Lessard-Tétrault. Samuel McDonald. Carolyn McKecken. Skylar Marshall, with distinction. Charlotte Mayol. Sarah Madison Kirby Moise. Quincy Faye McKenna. Louve Meston Moussinguet. Tatiana Ortiz Cornejo. Berkay Oskmova. Tony Palumbo. Maclean Poulin. Maud Richard with distinction, University Prize in Business for Finance. Antoine Rivard. David Rumbach. Anastasia Saïd Alaoui with distinction. Mark Zachary Lambert Seward with distinction. William Simard. Rosalie Terrien. Bit of a backlag. We're good. Kennedy Thompson with distinction. Riley Thompson. Alistair Arnott Tomaszewski with distinction. Morgan Whitaker.
I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who have earned the degree of Bachelor of Education to please stand. Mr. Chancellor and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you these graduates who have received their degree of Bachelor of Education.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Bachelor of Education in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Rebecca Forger Larivière. Olivia Hewitt. Adam Laborie. Selena Jean Laurent. Samuel Marchand. Yunya Rorox McComber. Sandy McDonald. Kendra Parnell. Granton Patrick. Andréane Richard. Taylor Rohr. Courtney Roy. Corinne Saint Laurent Amel. Lydia Toussaint. Mary Lou Boisvert. Delaney Benson. Cassandra Vinette Ashley Johnson Desnoyers. Samuel Lagore O'Connell.
So now I invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who earned the degree of Bachelor of Science to please stand. Mr. Chancellor, and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you these graduates who've received the degree of Bachelor of Science.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Bachelor of Science in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Joshua Aiken, with distinction, the David Savage Prize in Physics and Mathematics, and the University Prize in Physics and Astronomy. Ravi El-Kisto. Hassan Rad. Daniel Alma. Patricia Aubin, with distinction. Isabelle Françoise Audet, with distinction, the Golden Mitre Award and the Julie Bradshaw Award. Brick Baker. Tharani Balakrishnan. Emma Blackburn, with distinction. Abby Barnes. Hillary Bryson, with distinction. Camille Catalan, with distinction. The University Prize in Biochemistry. Ari Charette, with distinction, the Susanna Lee Memorial Prize. Jack Campos. Brianna Elizabeth Corey with distinction. Alex Dennison. Karim Fathi with distinction. Rachel Hellerud. Ashana Hines with distinction. Devlin Kaufelt. Fatima Zara Buslimi with distinction. Julien Kredelka. Eva Kuhar. Noah Locke with distinction. Sasha Maria Maroon with distinction. Gabriel Valentin Morariu. Monica Passo. Melissa Rivera Barris. Emma Story. Odette Charlene Chuan.
I go a little faster.
Maria Zinchenko. Anya Monroe with distinction. Elizabeth D'Souza. Jill Morrison. Isabel Jane Vaux with distinction.
I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who've earned the degree of Master of Arts to please stand. Mr. Chancellor, and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you this graduate who has received the degree of Master of Arts. Congratulations, Leigh.
Should I say it anymore? Yeah, sure. I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Master of Arts in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Lei Huang.
I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who have earned the degree of Master of Education to please stand. Mr. Chancellor and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you these graduates who have received the degree of Master of Education.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Master of Education in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Regina Afri. David Piperno. Yancy Shen. Chutsen Ta. Jiateng Tu.
I now invite the members of the graduating class of 2021 who have earned the degree of Master of Science to please stand. Mr. Chancellor and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you these graduates who have received the degree of Master of Science.
I confirm that you have been conferred the degree of Master of Science in our university, together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Rakesh Chandra Aisle. Rahul Alanki. Rishabh Behel.
Hi. This is DVM. This is Srikant DVM.
Srikant DVM. Kranti Desari. Kirti Dava. Jainil Desai. Nandini Dumpa. Shobha Malela. Swathi Vankayaya. Sahitya Gade. Praniti Gokru. Liang Gu. Ahmad Rateb Hamdan. Ruquan Hao. Aditya Amitbai Jani. Srivastava Abhishek Karsala. Sandeep Inala. Wasif Jami Khan. Vishwa Reddy Komura. Anurag Kurapati. Mahak Lala. Bhupal Musali. Luyun Nie. Nilufar Karimifar. Sara Eskandaridad. Ali Nurzad. Javad Omidvar. Mojibola Obadimeji. Ashwal Oza. Yash Shatishandra Patel. Kartik Suguja. Malik Musafar Syed. Jagananda Anjani Kumar Peri. Bill Morrison Tala Jr. Srikar Mantha. Chandana Martha. Dinesh Mova. Sai Siva Krishna Rahul Rangana. Aravind Regonda. Naveen Samal. Kamiswaran Rangasamy. Kanan Sinivasan. Tatvagna Anil Kumar Shah. Manideep Tulupunuri. Peyang Wang. Shuting Wang. Joey Wang. Venkatesh Vaja. Akshay Vangapali. Sai Vena. Surya Teja Jalapati. Likita Yalavarti. Lingarao Yechuri. Dhruv Sharma. Rajiv Dinesh Israni. Manmeet Singh. Sarthak Chabra. Aishwarya. Apurva. Jayashri Srinivasan, the University Prize in Computer Science. Akil Ahmed Mohammed. Karthik Babu Bhupendran. Congratulations. Prem Kumar Vishnava. Afreen Fatima Ahmed. Bhargav Chand Yadavan.
I now invite the students who earned a certificate of completion of a microprogram, or a graduate certificate to please stand. Mr. Chancellor, and all members of the university, with the unanimous approval of this convocation, I present to you this candidate who has received a certificate.
I confirm that you have been awarded this certificate together with its responsibilities, rights, and privileges.
Simon Kevin Lizotte.
Mr. Chancellor, I now invite Julian Cairns of the class of 2021 to present the winner of the William and Nancy Turner Award for Teaching, and I invite Dr. Heather Lawford to stand next to the Chancellor.
Hi, everybody. Mr. Chancellor, Mr. Principal, faculty members, graduates of the class of 2021, parents, friends, and family of the university, I'm honored to speak in front of you all today to present the 2021 William and Nancy Turner Teaching Award. Every year, this award is granted to a faculty member who has exhibited exceptional educational leadership and dedication to students. It is with great pleasure that I present this award to Dr. Heather Lawford. I first met Dr. Lawford after sending her an email requesting a place in her research lab. With a grand total of 0 hours of research experience, very few research courses on my transcript, and a very little understanding of what a qualitative research lab actually does, Heather Lawford welcomed me into her lab with open arms, much to my surprise at the time. Having known her for a few years now, I'm no longer surprised by this. One of the many exceptional qualities that Dr. Lawford possesses is the ability to always see the potential in others. Her belief that everyone has something to contribute is one component that facilitates the exceptional environment within her community and youth research lab. This space that Dr. Lawford has created for students is characterized by positivity, teamwork, and growth, which I am confident is rooted in her enthusiastic spirit and dedication to her students. Within the lab, research assistants study a concept called generativity. As some of you may know, generativity is described as the concern and care for future generations. Not only does Dr. Lawford study this concept, but she also embodies it in everything that she does. Dr. Lawford goes above and beyond to create countless opportunities for her students to learn and engage in research and to advance their careers. Through different research projects, knowledge mobilization initiatives, countless conferences, and many more, she creates spaces for students to explore the world of research, as well as to advance their careers and learn. Through her work, she fosters numerous skills that students will carry with them long after graduation. As such, her efforts have directly impacted the lives of countless students, creating a brighter future for all who have benefited from her teaching. Dr. Lawford is an incredible mentor and role model to her students and research assistants. She leads with passion, kindness, and respect, and goes to incredible lengths to foster a love of learning in her lab and her classroom. She's an inspiration to students and to community members alike, both as an incredibly effective educator and as an extraordinary person. For her exceptional contributions to the community, to research, her dedication to her students and research assistants, and her passion for teaching, she's an incredibly deserving recipient of the William and Nancy Turner Teaching Award. Thank you.
Mr. Chancellor, I now invite Sabrina Binta Kone and Sally Cunningham of the class of 2021 to deliver their joint valedictory address. Sabrina and Sally.
Can you guys hear us? It's the final stretch. We can push through here. All right. Good afternoon to the 2021 graduating class. After what felt like a decade-long pandemic, we are finally gathered here today to celebrate our long-awaited achievement. It surely was a difficult senior year, but we wouldn't be true graduates if we didn't take the time to walk across this stage and acknowledge our successes.
We're so grateful to be in this beautiful place on the traditional unceded territory of the Abenaki people and the Wabanaki Confederacy. J'aimerais aussi prendre un moment pour reconnaître notre histoire et notre contexte francophone. Tout ce que nous avons accompli a été grâce à la nature accueillante des communautés qui nous entourent.
Notre expérience était beaucoup plus riche grâce à notre accessibilité à la culture française dans notre communauté. J'aimerais également féliciter tous ceux et celles qui ont obtenu leur diplôme dans leur seconde langue. Ce n'était sûrement pas facile, mais vous l'avez accompli avec la tête haute. We would also like to take this time to recognize every person who isn't graduating, but who played an instrumental part in us even being here today.
Thank you to every staff member for ensuring this campus ran as smoothly as possible, to the faculty for your commitment and unwavering belief in our class. Thank you to the locals and businesses of Lennoxville for tolerance as we descended upon the town each year. And a special mention goes out to the Domino's delivery drivers who arguably provide the most valuable service.
And finally, to our poor parents who shipped us off to a school in a town we like to call Lennox Vegas. Look, Ma, wasn't it worth it?
It's been so long since we first stepped foot on campus, and now we're finally back. Even though we've left, changed, grown, the red bricks still tower over the Massawippi. They still welcome us home. What a year it's been as we've raced off into new lives, new identities, and look how many of us returned. A year ago, we graduated. We dispersed into the world, little flashes of bishop's purple in the workplace, at home, within new institutions. Remember where you were a year ago and what mattered then? The exams, the papers, the final presentations that seemed all-consuming? They seem almost quaint this far gone, don't they? Every late-night study session that turned into morning, every sprint to the printer before class, every job worked and every drop of caffeine consumed, every tear shed and every grade earned. Now it all seems so distant. Something, though, something about this place and these people rallied us back. Something about being a Bishop's graduate binds us together in some unshakable, unbreakable way.
When I look back at our time here, I can't help but feel a wave of emotions as I reflect on where we started versus where we are now. I personally remember moving into Res, shout out Nopo, and there we go, and being pumped that I was leaving home and getting all the freedom in the world. And a week later, I remember crying every single night because I was so homesick. And on top of that, Dewey's did not compare to my nonna's homemade pasta. I also remember thinking high school was a breeze, so university must be easy. And then I tanked my first few classes, and I wondered if university was even for me. And while some of these lessons were tougher than others, in just a few weeks, this place quickly became a home away from home. BU allowed us to grow, excel, and learn so much about ourselves as individuals. Like many of you, a few months prior to graduating, I started thinking about what I wanted to do next. I debated, should I travel for 6 months? Should I pursue a master's? Do I enter the workforce? And while all these questions continuously popped in my head, one thing I knew for sure was that whatever I did choose had to have a little bit of Bishop's in it. Now, finding whatever I was looking for was much easier said than done. I had such high expectations, and I wanted to replicate everything I had here. For instance, case competitions made me want a role that allowed me to develop strategies and solve problems. Joining CASA in the EDI task force showed me how to use my voice to teach others, there we go, EDI, teach others the importance of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And being part of athletics taught me that working toward a collective goal gave me a sense of purpose. All these experiences were parts of BU that shaped me, and naturally, I wanted to take them with me into my next chapter. And while I did find a role that I love, I quickly realized that finding something that replicates bishops to a T was going to be a never-ending chase. The harsh reality is that we probably won't find another bishops again. But the silver lining is knowing that there are elements of BU everywhere we go, because BU isn't just a place, BU is a fire within us.
In my own steps beyond bishops, I'm pursuing a master's degree. In doing so, I've come to realize how special Bishops truly is, especially as a Maple Leaf school. When we say we're student-centered, we mean it. One example from my own time here was being part of the Online Learning and Technology Consultant Program. As students helped with the shift to online learning in the pandemic, Bishops recognized the value of student voices in instructional design. That program is just one facet of the Bishops experience that has shaped how I move through a new institution, new classrooms, and professional relationships. Over and over again, Bishops told us that what we say matters and gave us the confidence and the platform to exercise that voice. It helped to make us brave. Looking back, we know that the Bishops experience is a collection of things. The late-night pasta station at Dewey's, studying in the LLC, coat check at the gate, the music that plays in the gym before exams. It is Donald lectures and department parties. Bishops is the walk home from the Lion, the walk to the gym. It's floats and the never-ending parade of costumes. Bishops is Winterfest and Eco Week, research labs, and a miniature horse for Mental Health Week. It was knowing what all your neighbors' living rooms looked like, conversations with professors that happened anywhere and often with a beer. It is walking under the arches. The Bishops experience is a collective one. Bishops was where we learned how to ask the right questions. We learned and we grew up, and in doing so, we cultivated our voices, voices that are defined by hope. Our class has survived the pandemic, several floods, too many fires, endless construction, and the closure of the gate. Through all this, we leaned on each other until we found the strength in ourselves.
Now, the odd part about giving this speech a year later is that we've officially been slapped in the face by the reality that is life after Bishops. And one thing I will say is that life after Bishops requires way fewer fur coats and way more adulting, as well as no more sunrises on the Animal House roof and no more Sunday brunches at Pizzaville. And while this realization is much more bitter than sweet, this past year has allowed us to reflect on what life is like beyond this campus. The first thing I quickly learned is that very few people will actually remember every single thing you accomplished in university and beyond. The titles and the awards are merely labels. It is how you treat people that has the greatest impact. And life is not only about what you want to be, but more importantly, who you want to become, which has made me so appreciative for BU's emphasis on genuinely getting to know individuals for who they are. The second thing I realized is that our underdog mentality is like no other. And not a single person in this room can convince me that McGill or Concordia has school spirit like we do. I don't know what was in the water here, but it just felt like anything was possible. From the men's basketball team winning the championship against a school with 40,000 more students than ours, to those of you in this room who would organize fashion shows that would fill Centennial. It would all be done with such ease. And as I look at you all today, I hope we never lose that spark of confidence that we gained here on this campus. The third thing is we developed this curiosity and zest for life that runs so deep. Don't get me wrong, we worked extremely hard to be here today. But we'd be lying if we said we didn't have an absolute blast along the way. As we get older, it can be really easy to get caught up in the mundane tasks of our day-to-day life, but I'm extremely optimistic that all of us in this room will hold on to our desire for adventure for a very long time. And finally, I realized it's perfectly fine to be content with where you are now without knowing what's to come. While I'm sure we've all faced the never-ending cycle of wondering what big milestone we have to hit next and comparing ourselves to our peers, life is far too challenging for external rewards to define us. The joy is in the journey. And we're currently in a phase where all of our stories will differ, but now is the time to embrace the process of our search without succumbing to the pressure of the result.
We know what Bishops meant to us, still means to us, as we all came back today to prove. Bishops is so much more than a one-liner in a bio. To many of us, our time here represents formative years that fundamentally altered how we operate in the world. The sentence, "I got my degree at Bishops University," may seem small on paper, but to everyone in this room, it says so much more. It tells about our grit, our spark, our sense of community, and our dedication to joy. Wherever we may be in our lives now, we will never truly graduate. We carry our hope, our empathy, and our resilience through everything we do because we are Bishops. Whether your purple spirit manifests as a call to excellence or to quiet contemplation or a network of lifelong friends, a part of Bishops belongs to you now. You are marked by it. May we as a class commemorate that the serendipity of our time at Bishops has ended, and may we as individuals celebrate as we strike out into the world beyond our bubble. As we stand here today, for the second time victorious, let us look back with fondness on our time together and rush into our glorious futures. It's time.
Now, when I look at everyone in this room, I truly do see a powerhouse of brilliant minds who will change the world in impactful ways. And before we walk off this stage and stay up until sunrise in denial that this is it, I want to leave you all with one last point. People in this life are going to do extraordinary things, so why can't that be us?
Congratulations, class of 2021. We are now alumni.
Thank you, Sabrina and Sally. That was truly exceptional. So this is the part of our ceremony when we recognize the highest achievements of our graduating students. The Joan and Alex Patterson Award was established by Chancellor Emeritus Alex Patterson and his wife Joan. The prize is given to a graduating student who has contributed the most to volunteer work and activities in the off-campus community. It will be presented by Dr. Claire Grogan, Associate Vice Principal Academic, and it is awarded to Amelia Kraulis. The Golden Mitre Award is given in recognition of outstanding service to the student body. The recipients were elected to the Golden Mitre Honor Society by the graduating class. The award will be presented by Dr. Callan Valson, Professor of Finance, and the inductees for the class of 2021 are Izzy Odette, Maria Granca, Amelia Kraulis, and Anna Veilleux-Malone. The Julie Bradshaw Award was established in memory of Julie, a graduate of 1980. It is given to the student who received the highest number of votes for the Golden Mitre. It will be presented by the Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Stina Linden Anderson, and our 2021 recipient is Izzy Odette. And the final award is the Honorable G. Howard Ferguson Cup and Chief Justice Greenshield's Prize. The Honorable G. Howard Ferguson Cup and the Chief Justice Greenshield Prize are awarded to the student who, in the opinion of and by the vote of the faculty, has made the greatest contribution to the life of the university. They are presented by Dr. Maxime Trompe, Chair of the Sports Studies Department, and the recipient whose name has been engraved on the Ferguson Cup is Shane MacDonald. So Chancellor Daniel Fournier, Chair of the Board of Governors Robert Hall, Dr. Christy Clark, Dr. Glenn Lowry, members of Convocation, families and friends, thank you all for being here. Now I'm going to ask your indulgence not just because it's been a long ceremony, but because I realize that most of what I'm going to say has already been said and said much better by Christy Clark and Glenn Lowry and by Sabrina and Sally, but nonetheless, I hope you'll bear with me. My one piece of advice to all of you, never speak last. I do want to say, though, to all of you, and I hope you know this, that your presence here is really very special for us. As you probably recall, it was on Friday, March 13th, 2020, I sent you a rather cryptic note saying that we would be suspending classes for 2 weeks as a precaution against this COVID-19 coronavirus, whatever that was. Well, none of us could have anticipated that your entire final year would be disrupted by COVID. So the fact that more than after a year since you've left Bishops, you've made the effort to be here today is truly eloquent testimony to your friendship for each other and your appreciation for your time at Bishops. Now, I know that you have missed each other, and we certainly have missed you. So for all of us who work at Bishops, faculty, staff, administrators, and for everyone who helps guide the university, it is truly exceptionally gratifying to see all of you here. Your presence validates all the efforts that we make. We are profoundly touched, as I tried to say to each one of you, and we are very, very grateful for your being here. Now, I know that that virtual convocation we held, last August, was not exactly how you wanted to complete your time at Bishops, right? It certainly was not the way that you imagined convocating. So it's been a special joy for the Chancellor and myself and for everyone to be able to see you here and have you cross the stage. The challenge of responding to COVID-19 has been significant for Bishops as an institution, and obviously for each of you. The pandemic has affected every one of us, but it has not and will not define us. Now, the campus was pretty eerily quiet at times during your final year. Sometimes it seemed like there were more deer on the campus than students. But we are grateful to our faculty and staff that much of the year we were able to hold a higher percentage, actually, of classes for students on campus than most Canadian universities. So whether you spent your final year here in Lennoxville or at home, I know it cannot have been easy attending some or even all of your classes on a screen, in your bedroom, or in your kitchen. So I do want to express my admiration for the resilience and self-discipline and determination you have demonstrated in this truly complex time. Now, one of the reasons that your final year was academically successful is that 23 students, your colleagues, served as online learning and technology consultants. They supported faculty members in preparing and delivering hybrid and online courses. Despite the stringent COVID protocols, the SRC organized a great orientation week, right? I know that doesn't look like it looked on the lawn when you came to sing. We had to spread everybody out, but over 100 students helped organize the events. And a team of 28 students that we called the Safe Gator Squad helped keep everybody safe. And with the generous support of alumni and friends of the university, the Student Services team created the Be United Peer Support Center to offer emotional and practical support for students. And with funds raised from alumni, faculty, and staff, Thanksgiving meals were provided to over 500 students here on campus and in Lennoxville. And thanks to Dr. Claire Grogan, Wednesdays in the Quad became an opportunity for safe outdoor gatherings with hot chocolate served in the winter and lemonade once the weather got better. Our recruitment team loaned their purple cars to get students to and from the local vaccination center. And many events like the Film Festival and the Fine Arts Showcase were transformed into virtual events for all members of the Bishop's community. During Pride Month, we unveiled a Pride crosswalk on campus which celebrates our LGBTQIA2+ community. And your class contributed to the developing initiatives to support your peers, like maintaining the pass-fail option for courses and creating a Fall Student Success Week, which we introduced last fall for the first time. Students were involved in the creation of a sustainable development plan and on a committee to examine responsible investing by our university's foundation. So it was, in so many ways, truly a unique year, and we were consistently impressed by how you rose to the challenges you faced. Now, like all great institutions, Bishop's has evolved over the decades as each generation has been charged with ensuring that the university meets the needs of its time. We can all take pride in knowing that although much has changed, Bishop's continues to pursue its core mission of offering a sound and liberal education to its students. We remain focused on being an institution of choice for outstanding young people seeking academic excellence and a rich student experience. We strive to be a university that installs curiosity, confidence, courage, and a sense of responsibility in its students, to be a place that nurtures personal and intellectual freedom and fosters enduring friendships. That's certainly very evident today. So we are proud that our graduating students consistently tell us that we have delivered on the promises that we made when you chose to come to Bishop's. Throughout your time at Bishop's, the Maclean's magazine rankings placed us either first or second for student satisfaction amongst Canada's primarily undergraduate universities. So it does seem that the years you spent at Bishop's were good for you and the university, even if your final year was partly or even exclusively online. Beaucoup de choses à Bishop's ont perduré dans le temps. Nos bâtiments patrimoniaux, notre campus bucolique, et surtout l'accent que nous mettons sur l'éducation libérale des étudiants de premier cycle, sans oublier nos étudiants au niveau de la maîtrise. Mais il était également vrai que chaque génération d'étudiants réinvente l'université. Et la promotion de 2021 a contribué à faire de Bishop's une communauté intellectuellement dynamique, ambitieuse et bienveillante. J'étais vivement impressionné par les efforts que vous avez déployés afin que les valeurs fondatrices de notre université soient transmises à la prochaine génération d'étudiants et étudiantes qui, à leur tour, sauront les adopter et les transmettre. Vous avez démontré à la communauté étudiante qui vous suivait, que la curiosité, la rigueur, le respect d'autrui, l'intégrité et l'engagement sont des valeurs sûres. Et ce faisant, vous avez marqué de façon positive votre université. J'aimerais donc prendre quelques instants pour passer en revue certains des faits saillants de votre temps à Bishops. Chacun d'entre vous aura ses propres souvenirs et perspectives sur ce qui a fait de votre passage à Bishops une expérience spéciale. Voici quelques-uns des miens. So, with good humor and adaptability, you lived on a campus that occasionally felt like a construction site. You were here to see the renovation of the new side residences. You had to hang out in those temporary trailers that served as our library while the library learning commons was being renovated. You couldn't use the Johnson building while we were renovating the science labs and building the new greenhouse. We sent you back to the trailers when we renovated the student center. And you had to find an alternate route to the golf course while the lights were being installed on the pathway through the forest. And you participated in the process of developing plans to transform Divinity House into Quigwamna, which will include an Indigenous center and gathering space. And while I'm mentioning infrastructure changes, I do want to congratulate you for your efforts over several years to get the Quebec Ministry of Transport to install a stoplight at the corner of Reed and College. So, in addition to navigating around construction sites, you recognize this, right? In November 2019, you needed a boat to navigate the campus as we experienced one of the biggest fall floods in memory when the St. Francis River rose, I think, more than 15 feet. So while you're here, you should look at the new food court in the Student Center, and you should wander down the hallway here and take a look at the new pool, which will be opening this summer. I'm sure you noticed that we're also building a new residence opposite Dewhurst. That's going to open in the fall. Individually and collectively, the class of 2021 consistently responded to the needs of people less fortunate than themselves, here in the Eastern Townships and around the world. So whether it was the charity fashion show, which although it couldn't be held in person, nonetheless raised funds for a local seniors residence, or our student athletes fundraising and distributing bags of food for a local food bank, you consistently gave your time, energy, and resources to others. So we owe a great debt of gratitude to you, the class of 2021, for how you've cared for each other, for this institution, and the world. There are a couple of other highlights of your final year I want to mention. The first is that our Williams School of Business students finished on the podium in 15 virtual case competitions. Bravo. And the Model United Nations was held virtually for the first time. The Bishops team represented Ireland and received an Outstanding Delegation Award and 6 Outstanding Delegate and Position Papers. Our students in the Sustainable Agriculture and Food Systems Club collected sap from the trees on the farm to produce Bishop's first ever batch of maple syrup. And your classmate, Georges-Philippe Gadory-Sans-Façon, who unfortunately couldn't be here today because he's come down with COVID. So Georges-Philippe was awarded a 3M National Student Fellowship. Another highlight was that we raised more than $1 million so that the Bishops Gators women's hockey team would begin competing in a league against other Quebec universities. And I am, just to update you, I'm really pleased to report that the team played their first season in the league this past year. And their home opener, they beat Université de Montréal. They had a really good season, and they ended up beating Carleton and Ottawa in the playoffs. So it was a great, great beginning. We welcomed, two outstanding speakers in the Donald Lecture Series. I'm sure you remember this. These, of course, were the first lectures delivered without an in-person audience. But Marie Wilson, one of the 3 commissioners of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, shared her experiences as a commissioner and provided wise advice to us about how we can make concrete progress together. And of course, one of the truly memorable talks we've had, Dr. Jane Goodall, extraordinary environmentalist and humanitarian who joined us from England. I think there were more than 2,000 students, faculty, staff, alumni, and community members who registered for the talk by one of the truly most admired women of our time. I don't have time today to review all of the accomplishments of our diverse faculty, but let me just give you a little bit of the flavor. So Dr. Jason Rowe, Canada Research Chair in Exoplanetary Astrophysics, is the leader of a team which has been granted more than $1 million from the Canadian Space Agency, and they're working on a project to develop a prototype of what could become Canada's next space telescope. We actually, for the first time in our history, we actually have 5 Canada Research Chairs. Dr. Rowe, Dr. John Runn in Multi-Messenger Astrophysics, Dr. Heather Lawford in Youth Development, Dr. Sunny Lau in Integrated Plurilingual Teaching and Learning, and Dr. Henner Lanez Ortiz. He's just been named a Canada Research Chair in Digital Indigeneities. So we're really proud of all of our faculty. We introduced a new academic program, 2 of them in fact, one in musical theater and one in sustainable agriculture and food systems. And we actually raised more than $1 million in philanthropic support for the sustainable agriculture program. And we've begun developing our educational farm adjacent to the campus. If you haven't seen it and you have some time, just go up the path behind Patterson, and it's really worth going to visit. Thanks to an initiative by Dean Athanasiadis, Bishops became one of the first universities in Canada to receive a silver certification in the Women in Governance Parity Certification process, which evaluates parity at the decision-making level of organizations. So, as Glenn Lowry said, the world is a different place than it was when you arrived at Bishops. The COVID-19 pandemic has provided a stark reminder to all of us that we are one interdependent world. The magnitude of the human and economic suffering has been immense. More than 6 million people around the world have died from COVID. Fortunately, we have seen breathtaking advances in science as vaccines went from conception to approval in less than a year. And our healthcare workers have made heroic efforts. And although our governments have made some mistakes, I think it's fair to say that by investing in social programs on a scale not seen since the Great Depression in the 1930s, they've saved lives and provided critical supports for people, which speaks to the importance that Christy Clark spoke about the importance of government in our lives. When we suspended operations in March 2020, when we pivoted to online delivery of our, online delivery was the only option. And we're grateful to everyone who helped us do that. And virtual teaching has its attributes, but the unequivocal message that we receive from our students and our faculty has been that there's no substitute for the face-to-face, in-person interaction which is at the heart of Bishops. So I can guarantee you it will always remain so. It has been reassuring to hear that so many of you are engaged in the world, because there is so much to be concerned about. You know that we are a comparatively small university, but with students from every province and every territory and from more than 60 countries, Canada and the world really do meet on our campus. And many of the crises in the world are deeply felt and responded to here. As we've done for more than a quarter of a century, we have sponsored and welcomed students who have been displaced by war and oppression. So whether those students are from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Ukraine, Yemen, or other troubled parts of the world, our community has mobilized to bring some of them to Bishops. Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine is just one of many horrific situations in the world. Unfortunately, we are witnessing the emergence of increasingly oppressive autocracies in many parts of the globe. And some of our neighbors to the south appear to believe that democracy, which includes the right of every citizen to vote, is a threat rather than an enabler of freedom. And in our own country, some people are defining democracy simply as the rule of the majority, without understanding that in a healthy, modern democracy, the rights of the majority must be constrained by the need to respect the fundamental rights of minorities. Again, as Glenn said, it was a year ago, as you were completing your time at Bishops, that we were rocked by the discovery of the unmarked graves of Indigenous children who died while attending a residential school in Kamloops. The discovery and identification of graves at other sites brought home the devastating effects that residential schools and systemic racism against Indigenous people have had and continue to have on Canada's Indigenous peoples and our entire country. As Murray Sinclair said during his Donald lecture at Bishops, education was at the heart of the residential school tragedy, and education must be at the heart of the solution. Bishops has an important role to play in this regard. We must learn and we must own our own history. We must take responsibility for the multi-generational impact of colonization and cultural genocide. And as our Governor General Mary Simon said just last week, we must walk beside each other and work together to build an equitable and respectful future. Now, over the last 2 years, I've had many discussions about diversity at Bishops. We have made progress, but Bishops is far from reflecting the diversity of Canada in its students, staff, faculty, administrators, and governors. There remain barriers to inclusion and opportunity at our university which must be removed. With that goal in mind, we created a joint board and Senate task force on equity, diversity, and inclusion. The task force made several recommendations for actions, including the hiring of a special EDI advisor, which we have done. It also recommended that we review our hiring practices, which we are doing. We have welcomed Vicky Baldo, who spoke to us earlier, as a special advisor, Indigenous student support. Vicky is teaching all of us and guiding all of us. However, we have a long way to go if we are going to be the truly inclusive and diverse institution we aspire to be. There will continue to be difficult moments and hard conversations, but we cannot afford to fail. To paraphrase James Baldwin, complacency in the face of discrimination not only harms the marginalized, it destroys the souls of the institutions that tolerate it. Now, we know that you are confronted by enormous challenges. They have been listed. You know, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change issued its most stark assessment of the climate crisis. It's estimated, that more than 1 million species are at risk. So whether it is autocracy, racism, discrimination, inequality, social justice, or sexual violence, or climate change, the challenges facing you are daunting. But as intractable as some of these challenges or conflicts may appear, it's important that we remind ourselves that there's a vast gulf between doing nothing and doing something, no matter how modest its impact. So we are counting on you, the class of 2021, not to be passive bystanders, never to be silent or indifferent in the face of violence, racism, discrimination, injustice, inequality, intimidation, or environmental degradation. So I am going to conclude. I'm sure you're happy to know that. I'm going to conclude by saying how pleased I am to note that you were wrong. Wrong when you gathered on the lawn in front of the principal's house and sang about never graduating. But I do suspect that you were right when you sang the line that college days will linger ever in your hearts. You will certainly linger in ours. And perhaps the words about never graduating were not meant to be taken literally. Perhaps never graduating means never losing your sense of curiosity and your joy in learning. Perhaps never graduating means never being afraid to take risks in pursuit of your dreams. Perhaps never graduating means never ceasing to respect and value people who are different from you. Perhaps never graduating means remaining loyal to your friends. We will continue to watch with pride and admiration as you pursue your own paths, as you further the boundaries of knowledge, as you care for the planet, and as you do your part in the never-ending quest to advance peace, justice, equality, and prosperity in the world. It is going to be exciting to watch you. Congratulations for all you have achieved. Thank you for all you have contributed. So celebrate together today. I'm sure you have not forgotten how to do that. And then go back out and continue to use the knowledge and skills you've acquired at Bishop's to make the better world you believe in. Congratulations. And thank you.
Well done. Just want to say thank you to Principal Goldblum, but we do want to conclude with a farewell montage that we think you'll like.
When there is no more, you cut to the core, quicker than anyone that I knew. When I'm all alone, in the great unknown, I'll remember you. Oh yes, I will. So much left to do, and so little time to fail. There's some people there. Don't forget. You've been waiting to see one time when the roses fade. I'm in the shade. the wind blows through the pine wood. It was you who came right through for me, baby. It was you who understood. Though I never said, I turned out the way that you'd have liked me to. Still, in the end, my dear sweet friend, I'll remember you.
Of Bishop's University to be closed. I invite everyone to a reception upstairs in the mezzanine and on the TD Terrace, and I just would ask you to remain seated until the academic procession and graduating students have withdrawn. Okay? Thank you. Good luck. Congratulations.